because people were asking, what did you get the show? Did you get so? But I didn't want to release it. So we cut together a slow motion of Gary talking, just shots of him, intercut with shots of him with his kids when they were babies. And in the end, we just had the guest booker logo come on, and it turned black, and it said, guest booker with Gary Hart, Gary goes home. And we put that out, and we put the show out about 6 months after that.
Jeez.
Steph, you want to take that?
I'm like, trying not to cry here. That I just can't.
So the Iron Sheik is smoking crack, right?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Not About Wrestling. I am Chris Illuminati. She is Stephanie Bowen. Stephanie, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm very sweaty right now, but I'm great.
You are a goddamn liar.
What?
Are you doing great? Are you?
Why do you have to do this to me?
Your back hurts. It's not like
okay.
I'm not breaking the third wall or anything. Like, your back hurts.
No, my back hurts. Yeah. I also cried a lot today, but my back hurts.
All right. I wasn't going there, but
look, that's why I was like, why are you doing this to me?
Yes, your back.
I am in pain. I am in so much pain.
Okay, so then when I said, Stephanie, how you doing today? You should have went, I am in pain, Chris. You're like, great.
I don't know how to answer that question. You had this conversation with RVD before too? Like, everyone answered. No one has a good answer to how are you doing?
No, that's the like, how's your year going? Because you feel bad when people have had a shit year. Now, if you know that I've had a shit day, and then I say to you, how are you doing? And then you say great, then you're a jerk. Then you can say something like, not a great day. So then the person doesn't feel as bad.
Okay. Wait, so are you saying that I'm a jerk? Because I said no or the other
No,
way?
now we're fine because you don't know what kind of day I'm having.
Oh, because your day. Okay.
I'm more mad that you lied.
I thought you were saying that I was a jerk because I lied. Yeah. I didn't mean to lie. I just don't know how to say anything other than great.
Great.
I'm just supposed to put on this face that I can sit in a chair for more than an hour and be fine.
Well, your back is hurting, but I'm going to make you laugh about something.
Okay, please.
Remember the guy with the Chilluminati shirt?
Yeah, your Show Tunes friend.
Yeah, so I'm at the gym today. Wearing jeans.
Okay. So real quick, I was worried that when you changed the time you go to the gym that you wouldn't see him anymore. So I'm glad that you're still going at the same time so you can see him.
You missed what I said, though.
Oh, wait, what? Okay, sorry.
He was wearing jeans.
He's wearing jeans?
To work out.
So he's a jean.
That is our wacky horn. Let's explain that was your dog with the most perfectly timed toy.
Kobe has feelings about that.
You could not have gotten, I was like, and he had jeans. You could not have gotten any more of a perfect wacky horn.
Yeah, really. He's over there in the corner. My niece had thrown all of his squeaky toys in his bed.
Uh-huh.
So he can't lay down without laying on a squeaky toy. But yes, that was appropriate. That was great.
So he's wearing jeans.
Does he talk to you? Like,
no, I don't even
regularly
think he
now?
remembers who I am.
I mean, he does. He's been waiting for you.
He's been waiting for me to show off his new jeans.
Does he wear the shirt more, or did you like scare him away?
I haven't seen it again. But what I found fascinating is, like, I'm gonna assume he just forgot his workout clothes.
Yeah, came from somewhere where he didn't have like a bag, but it was like, I need to get a pump in. That wasn't even the word that I was gonna use.
What were you gonna use?
I call them sweat sessions. That's what my trainer says. So I was gonna.
Because you're a woman.
Yeah. Well, then that's why I changed it, and then we said it at the same time.
I don't think there might be some women who out there go, I'm going to go and get my pump on.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I'm sure some women say that.
Maybe.
And I'm sure there's some men that say they're going to go get their sweat session.
I don't think so. I think they are two separate
I'll
things.
bet you.
All right.
I'll bet you.
Okay.
Another thing that happened at the gym today, and this has never happened before in my life. They were playing a station. I'm going to assume that they have some type of like, it's not Sirius radio, but they have some type of streaming radio services that maybe are only available in gyms. So it's
Probably so.
yeah, so it's like, okay, here,
Muzak, I think, is one that's used in like retail stores and like retail places like that. That would probably also be a gym.
right.
Muzak. Yeah.
But they put on a station today that was, I was there for over an hour, hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. I did not know one song that they played, and none of it was like recent songs that I'm missing, and none of it was all like, they all felt like when you go, and you can understand this, when you go to see a band, a cover band at a bar, and they decide they're going to play two of their own originals. and but this sound like all cover band originals. Like I didn't know a song. I couldn't spot it. Like I don't have Shazam on my phone. I wanted to download Shazam just to know what garbage I was listening to. So like I'm like, what this song? I've never had an experience where an hour and a half and I did not know one song that was playing.
That's weird. Random life hack is that you can actually, I think you can still do it, Shazam through Snapchat if you need it for future.
Wait, it's not just for my dick pics?
No, it's not.
My pictures of Richard Nixon.
Of course, duh.
Yes, I am a huge Nixon fan.
Yeah, so you can do that through there. Please don't do anything else.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So you knew nothing. Like I'm very interested in this.
I couldn't even name a band. Like I couldn't, sometimes like you hear a band and you don't know the song it is, but you're like, I know that band.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing, not a word. One sounded like a bad Sammy Hagar impersonation. They were like not even song. They weren't even songs that sounded current.
I really want to know what this is. I want to know if I knew any.
I can ask. I know the manager of the gym. I'll be like, "What crap are you playing in here? And what station was that?"
Yeah, I need you to do that.
And then I wanted to, in some way, not complain, but I wanted to, in some way, say something. And I almost was like looking around to kind of like have a moment with someone else in the gym, like, are you listening to this garbage that we're listening to right now? And I realized everybody had headphones on. And then I realized I was the idiot for not having headphones on.
Because that's very true. Who actually listens to the music that they play in the gym?
Here's why I don't. Because one, I can't put earbuds in because they fall out.
Or why you do listen to the music.
Right, why I do listen to music. I can't put earbuds in because they fall out. That's number one. Number two, the only other headphones I could listen to are like the big can ones. And between that and the mask, when you're working out, it's like two things on your face that are trying to blind you while you're lifting up heavy weights. Like it's bad enough that when I move, the mask goes up over my eyes and my nose. And then sometimes if I wear the headphones, they come down and I have these 65-pound dumbbells in my hand and I can only see a sliver of what's going on. And I hope that I'm not going to drop them on my foot or anything. So I can't wear those. So I can only listen to the wonderful Muzak playing in my gym.
Whatever they are playing there.
Hey, what? I wanted to get a good pump on and I was sad that I wasn't wearing my jeans.
You had to listen to that music. Maybe your show tune buddy is the one who requested that station.
I would rather listen to him sing than the music that was on.
His show tunes.
So speaking of show tunes, our guest today, no, I'm kidding.
What? Who do we have that I forgot about?
I needed a segue, but our guest today is Sean Oliver, and for people out there, I mean, he's a writer, he's a director, he's a producer, but wrestling fans are going to know him as he's Sean from Kayfabe commentaries and all of the shoot interviews that we all love to watch on YouTube, and I've watched them repeatedly over the past 4 or 5 years. They used to be my like go-to nighttime videos to watch. Like, when you get in bed and you're like, I want to kind of watch something that's going to keep my attention, but it's not going to keep me too awake where I'm not falling asleep. I would watch hours of Sean talking to old wrestlers about how they got screwed.
Yeah, he nearly made me cry.
Yeah, didn't see that coming.
I was not expecting that either, and I actually can't wait for people to hear that part because it was, that was a shock, and just emotional.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have a react. Like you could probably see me like trying to fight back tears as he's talking.
And he transitions right from that to talking about Buff Bagwell saying he's going to punch him in the teeth,
Perfect transition.
which is a very Buff Bagwell thing to happen. So yeah, Sean's talked to a ton of wrestlers. He did some great work. They don't really do it anymore. He's working on a ton of other projects, but we had a fun time talking to him about the interviews that he did and the people that he got to talk to and how it I feel like he doesn't understand how influential he is to the people that do podcasts and shows now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's one of the guys that we all look at and go, okay, that's he's one of the people that inspired me to want to do this show. And the reason that I started the show was because when I wanted to talk to wrestlers, I didn't just want to talk about wrestling. And some of my favorite things that he would do is when he would talk to wrestlers just about random things that had nothing to do with wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was one of my inspirations for starting the show. And I'm sure there's countless other people. So I don't think he understands how influential he is in that genre of, wrestling interview podcast type show.
Probably not.
No. And he made you cry.
And he made me cry and laugh a lot.
And he called you a baby.
I know. Yeah.
Well, a baby to the wrestling industry.
Yes. Yeah. As I'm sitting here with a heating pad on my back.
No, and that way you're old.
And yeah, in that way I'm old.
And I'm going to say what I said to you last night when we were not recording, that I'm fine. You make fun of me for being old. My back is great.
I feel great too.
I bet you do. Do this. I'll do this.
I can stretch just fine. I just can't sit in a chair for more than an hour.
I'll do this. Oh, we've been doing this for what, 2 hours now?
Thanks for keeping me here longer. I appreciate you.
Chris, screwing up back since 2021.
Yikes.
That works. So here's our interview with Sean Oliver. And we're back, and we are here with writer, producer, actor. You've done so many things, but I'm going to call you something, and you might get us upset about it. You're the king of the shoot interviews. How do you feel? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, right? You gotta, like, Alfalfa was always Alfalfa after Little Rascals. Do we really expect him to be anyone else? Scotty Schwartz, who I've met, I mean, he's always the kid from the toy, right? I mean, it's what happens, I guess, right?
Do you remember the moment you kind of like were smartened up to what was going on?
That's a good question. I think it's kind of like Santa Claus when, I don't want to spoil anything for you here, Steph, cover your ears.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you know before you know. Maybe you're hearing things. Maybe you're seeing some stuff. You're seeing them show a little light when you sit in the front row. And I just think it's one of those things that I never knew there was a definitive line. I mean, there was never a definitive line where I knew, oh, someone just told me how this is done. I think I just figured it out. When I wrote my second wrestling book, Father's Blood, about kids that grew up with professional wrestlers as fathers, I think every child of a wrestler and every wrestler with children that I talked to said, I never had to tell them. They figured it out. They came to the matches all the time. And I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, same thing for me. So like, even if you were, Tito Santana was your father, he never had to tell you what was going on. You just traveled with him enough that you figured it out.
You never cut camera. You don't have to say, but what's something you caught on camera that you were like, oh God? You don't have to say
I have a lot. I have, we sat down with Jake Roberts, who was a long-time want of mine for Breaking Kayfabe. That's one of the shows where we talk about the out-of-the-ring life of the talent. And his family life was, tragic. And he sat down and he said, shortly after, like we get him at the hotel, we drive him, we sit down, the camera's on, the lights on, he's mic'd, and I mentioned something about his family. He's like, I'm not talking about my family. I said, Jake, it's the whole show. And he wouldn't do it. He fought with me. I said, Jake, please. I said, come outside, have a cigarette with me. Let's talk about this. He said, nope, fuck it, not doing it. He said, here's your money. Bang, slam the money down. I said, I'll have someone drive you back to the hotel. I'm sorry. Like, so that's on there.
He knew what he was getting into with that, though, didn't he?
You know, here's the thing. Yeah, and no. A lot of times people don't pay attention to what they're being told. They ask the question. You know what the question is?
Money.
How much?
Mhm.
And that's it. He was with DDP at the time. They were doing their get healthy phase of Jake's life. And so I was working with DDP that weekend, and he got me Jake. And I told DDP what it was. And I think he didn't communicate it to Jake, because DDP, as soon as my guy put Jake in the car on the way home, my phone rings. DDP is like, what happened? I said, I think you didn't tell Jake that I wasn't going to talk about the DDT tonight. So, yeah. There was that. There was, if you've read my books, you know, the unfortunate Bagwell incident where he showed up too tired to work. And we tried to shoot a few times, and it didn't go off. I couldn't air it. I said, I can't put you on like this. You wouldn't want me to, believe me. Mm-hmm. He was upset and disappointed, I think, in himself for coming so tired. And but I gave him a few $100. I said, listen, here, dude, we tried. I said, consider this a deposit. Next time you're back, I want to do the show with you. Mm-hmm. He thanked me, hugged me, called me the next day. He's like, dude, I am so sorry, brother. He said, you're going to have it next time, though. I promise. When I'm back, please promise you'll book me for this show again. I said, absolutely, dude. I said, I have a whole show written. Mm-hmm. You know, Anthony spent 4 weeks writing this show. I need it. I want it. Part of a series, you know, we have it on the calendar. And then 6 months later, I called him when I saw he was going to be back out. And he said, sorry, brother, they're doing a reality show about my family now, so I don't do that shoot shit anymore.
Give you your money back?
No. I reminded him who I was and what I did for him that night. And then he told me he would punch my teeth down my throat when he saw me in New Jersey.
Oh, nice.
I was in awe. Not that someone talked to me like that, but just because of how magnanimous I thought I was that night. I have a whole set. I have a crew. Everyone's going home without a show. Mm-hmm. But I said, dude, I want the best you that I can get, and I'm not getting it right now. Mm-hmm. So here's some cash, man, you know, because you counted on this, right? So here's a little something. It's a deposit. Come back. You're going to punch my teeth down my throat. It's wrestling. What? If I wanted to be in politics, I'd be in Washington. It's wrestling. What do you expect? But that's on camera. Okay. Let's say, so some people's less than finer moments are on camera. But you know what? I couldn't betray it. You know, when he said he was going to punch my teeth, I went into vengeance's mind mode. I said, that's it. The raw footage is going up for free all over the place tonight. Mm-hmm. Marty Jannetty got really mad at me because he found out, he heard how heavily I had to edit his interview for a coherent, linear interview. I did edit it because a story would start here at the 5-minute mark, and then we'd end up talking about wrestling gear, and then at the 27-minute mark, the story would. So I took the 27-minute mark and I moved it to the 5-minute mark so that you could watch an entire story. Yeah. He went out and said that I had cut him to look bad. I made him look bad in that show. That's another one I have the raw footage for. And I was like, you know what? I will put that fucking thing up for free.
Here, if you think that was bad and I made you look bad,
exactly. Here's how bad I made you look, brother. So then it goes to violent. There's always the threats. And like, dude, I hire you, you come out, you take a giant steaming shit on video, and you're mad at me?
For fixing it. How dare you?
Yeah, I know. I find it ironic that the guy who casually mentioned he might have murdered someone behind a bowling alley for being gay when he was 14 is mad that you edited video to make him look bad.
I made him look bad. I probably dubbed that. It wasn't my show where he said it, but I probably snuck onto that show and dubbed it.
No, he
Well,
said
you
that on
won.
Facebook.
Oh, he said it. Okay.
Saying how
Then
much
he typed it. Sean typed it. Don't you know?
I was there.
Yeah,
I was
Sean
his
typed it.
fingers. I was his inspiration.
Have there been anybody that after you got done the interview, you were like, wow, that person was way more eloquent and a kind of a deeper person than I ever thought?
Gary Hart,
Okay.
the booker for the Dallas territory, manager of the Great Kabuki, real badass, on video, came out and did such a great addition of guest booker, sat with us afterwards, said, have a drink, fellas. Soft-spoken guy, talked to us, just so great. We walked back to the car. Again, it's in my book. And in the audiobook, you get to hear all the impersonations too. So some of my crew were large, tattooed, bearded motorcycle types. And we're walking back to the car. And Craig, who is such, from behind me, he had never met Gary Hart. He didn't watch the Dallas wrestling. So I just told him about Gary Hart. At the end of the night, we're loading the equipment. We're walking back. And from behind me, I hear, yo, I'm gay for Gary Hart. So yeah, Gary made quite an impression. He, tragically, he did our show, flew home and died of a heart attack the following day. And that was a whirlwind because it was the only time I'd ever met him. And he was so great. And he was one of those guys that I was like, we could do more with Gary Hart. And my phone the next morning was blowing up, and I hadn't had my coffee, so I didn't really read anything. The shoot was in the middle of Pennsylvania. By the time we got back, it was late. I'm looking, and I see one of them says, did Gary Hart die? I was like, no, I saw him. And then Super Asian Eric Sims calls me, and I pick up the phone. He goes, you got a piece of history there, brother. I was like, oh, no. Later on that day, I get a call from a number I don't recognize in Texas, and I answer it, and it's a man sobbing or emotional, and it was Gary's son, and he said, I don't know you, but I heard you worked with my dad. Was he okay? I was like, oh my God. I said, Jason, I got to tell you how much we love your father. Like, the time we spent with him had such an impression on us. And I'm not saying it because of what I heard happened. He just wanted to know, did I see anything? Was there? And there was nothing. He was fine. And I didn't want to release the show right away. He said, I spoke to my family and they said, you do whatever you want with the footage. We trust you. And I sat on it for 6 months because I knew there would be people metaphorically standing on his casket hawking things, and I didn't want to do it. I said instead of do that, Jason, send me pictures of you and your brother with your father as kids, not wrestling stuff, just at home and just from your life. And I don't know what I want to do with it yet, but I want to do something with it. I didn't want to distract from the show. I wanted to celebrate Gary's life, his contributions. But we ran the end credits over the pictures, and we dedicated the show to his kids. And it's still really weird to talk about, but how to handle that, I knew we had a responsibility. It wasn't just a wrestling guy, it's somebody's dad, talking to his kid. If Mike Graham's son had called me, I wouldn't have made a joke about suicide before, because I would have thought about him differently. But talking to Jason Hart, Jason Williams, really, it was such a burden of responsibility. We cut a trailer, which you can find on YouTube, to a song called Hands of Time by a group called Groove Armada, which was just because people were asking, what did you get the show? Did you get so? But I didn't want to release it. So we cut together a slow motion of Gary talking, just shots of him, intercut with shots of him with his kids when they were babies. And in the end, we just had the guest booker logo come on, and it turned black, and it said, guest booker with Gary Hart, Gary goes home. And we put that out, and we put the show out about 6 months after that.
Jeez.
Steph, you want to take that?
I'm like trying not to cry here. That I just
So
can't.
the Iron Sheik is smoking crack, right? And we got to get back on track.
No, that is great though for you to have that last moment and to not take advantage of it like some people probably would.
Yeah.
To wait that long to release it is nice for the family, and just to be able to have that with his son is amazing, to be able to give him that. No, geez, what's the word I'm looking for?
A tribute.
Yeah, but just afterwards to know that he was okay, and that it wasn't like
Yeah.
it was something off about him, that you had this fantastic memory that you caught on camera that you could share with him of his father.
The human elements. What were we, 13 years in this? I don't know what we were in this business, but we were a busy 13 years. At our peak, if you're in production, you know this. At our peak, we did 18 shows a year. A couple of years, we got up to 18. We started. They thought we were crazy when I put out a schedule of 12, and we got up to 18, which is every 3 weeks a show would be written, shot, edited, marketed, ads bought, mastered, reproduced, released every 3 weeks. So that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the human elements are few and far between. That's one of them. I mean, I'm sure there are others I'm just not thinking of, but there are those moments which give you pause and make you think back and go, it's, the wrestling world is crazy and the stuff we're talking about is crazy, and we're doing shoot and the dick bag and all that stuff. But then there's those little moments like that are like, okay, real people. That's why we did that show Breaking Kayfabe, because as I came to know these people, their outside the ring lives were infinitely more interesting than anything they were doing in the ring. So the profile of the guest for a Breaking Kayfabe would be like a Tammy Sitch or Sean Waltman, where we could talk about maybe abuse, drug abuse, sexual abuse, things that had happened in their lives that they were willing to talk about. Because for once, they're being treated like a person. That was the tagline of the show. They're people. Mm. And that was another thing that brought out a lot of those human elements from a lot of the zany talent. I mean, nobody comes up to me and talks about, having Gary Hart on the show, or, the time that, New Jack cried to me on air, but, they'll talk about the dick bag. Mm-hmm. They'll talk about the hoe bag. They'll talk about all that stuff, but it's that other stuff that I think about.